What up, people? Happy Sunday. Welcome to the Black Wealth Project. Tonight, we are talking about a couple of things. We're talking about Black millennials not trusting 401ks and the financial markets, talking about reparations going nationwide, and we're talking about the life and legacy of A.J. Johnson. So, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Black Wealth Project. This is our town hall meeting. We do this every week, 7 p.m. Myself and the other 6 masterminds or 5 masterminds that are with us. Jimmy, Courtney, and Corey are with us tonight. We're expecting Crean Tracy to be on with us later, but we're going to have a good conversation. But before we get going, I want to ask everybody a question. What podcast are you listening to? Do me a favor, throw that in the chat and tell us why you are listening to those. But as we get going, what's up, team? How y'all doing?
Yizzo.
What's up, beloved? How you?
Listen, shout outs to Corey and Jimmy for holding it down last week. Y'all had a topic that I really wanted to get in on. I was at a wedding. Shout out to Black Love, but that was a great topic y'all talked about last week, man. That was great stuff.
It was interesting, man. Like, because what I realized about life is that a lot of times we try to make things black and white, but most of life is in the gray area. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. especially in 2021 when everything is binary. Either you're this way, you're that way. Either you're Democrat or you're Republican, or you know what I mean? Like, you like this person or that person, and that's not how it is. And that's one of those topics. But it was dope though. And shout out to everybody who tuned in with us last week for the great conversation.
Now, did y'all feel weird? Because it was like a Bob Hood takeover.
Yeah, man, it felt weird, man. Like, it absolutely felt weird, man. Like, we love y'all energy, man, and so
glad to have y'all back.
Glad to be back. Glad to be back. What's up, Courtney?
What's up?
How you feeling?
Oh man, Courtney is. Your face, yeah. I need you to fix your face, Courtney. I gotta go with like your parents. I need you to fix your face.
I can make my comment. So before the show, in our pre-show, we had a very spirited conversation about the industry and things that are done. And I wear my feelings on my face sometimes.
Yeah, I had to go old school grandpa on you real quick.
That's like Monica. That's why I told Monica, I says, man, you got to watch. She can't hide her emotions at all. Like, she wears her emotions on her face. I'm like, you got to watch that. But anyway, glad to have you back anyway.
She's fighting demons. She's fighting demons.
So. She's fighting demons.
On a lot of levels. But listen, she's harder in her demons. So I didn't want to prevail.
I didn't even say that. Oh.
Well, no, but it's on multiple levels. It's not just that one topic. It was also the other topic we talked about.
It's all the topics.
Right. I don't want to give out too much until you're ready to say go. But those are demons, right? We fight not with just flesh and blood. We fight with principalities.
But it's how you respond, though. It's all about how you respond, man.
Sometimes you gotta fight. Sometimes you gotta,
know when to hold them.
As my little league coach told me, did you die? Okay, well, let's keep it moving, and we're gonna figure things out. As long as you don't die, we can figure things out.
Absolutely. Yep. So that is it. So
all right. So before we get going, right, real quick, the BOB of the week, right, is this company right here, Black-owned Uncle Nearest. Mm-hmm. Uncle Nearest whiskey. Basically was the guy who gave Jack Daniels the formula. And as usual, the 6Fs ran off with the plug and ran up the bag and didn't share any of the fame, fortune, or wealth. But I'm glad to see Uncle Nearest is here. They make a great spirit. It's something I support as much as possible. And I would encourage everybody else to support it as well.
Dope. So, interesting history.
Very interesting.
In the house, actually, I got Ty some. I don't know. At some point,
Ty got some expensive taste. He was telling me about some. Ty is a whiskey guy. He be spending that chicken on that whiskey, boy.
Yeah, see, I'm not really a whiskey guy. I actually really started drinking whiskey because of Uncle Nearest. So if it's black owned, I'm trying to be there.
I heard that. Yo, also, I want to shout out our brother Jose Sanchez.
Oh
man.
yeah, that's the piece.
I got the physical. When I got back today, the physical was here for me. So Jose, I'm letting you know, brother, I got the Kindle, I got the physical. I'm a complete support of you, and this is pretty dope, man. So shout out to Jose.
Jimmy, you making me look bad. I only got the physical, so I need to go buy the Kindle. So
oh yeah. And I
I
add my sign too. You know what I'm saying? So but that's either here nor there, man. Shout out to Jose, man.
So time out. I'm gonna put you out.
Oops, my fault.
Oh yeah, how about that? How about that?
Hi Jimmy. Hi Corey. I have a book. Do you know what that book's called?
Time and Space.
And you know what that book does not have?
All right, so guess what? We're gonna blame Tracy because we're supposed to be going out for our monthly our lunch. So
y'all can't blame Tracy. You gotta stay in the pocket with Jimmy.
I mean, she's not here, so you know what I'm saying.
Listen, when she get here, I'm telling. I'll be like, yo, Jimmy was trashing you.
Of course you're gonna say that.
Yeah, I'm snitching.
Dang.
No, but listen, man. I actually love how we support one another. Don't get it twisted, y'all. We joke a lot, we play a lot, but it's all love.
Absolutely.
Never get that twisted. And yeah, it doesn't get heated sometimes. And do Jimmy and Corey jump on me all
You hear this?
Right?
Whoa,
it's still love. I recognize the love. And listen, for the record, I missed y'all last week. So
no, I told y'all I missed y'all already. So and for the record, I don't come in hot at nobody, man. I be minding my damn business. I just be laughing.
Kamari love playing that victim, boy.
Yeah, like
I ain't playing a victim. I'm just telling the truth. I'm just saying, but it's all good though. Listen, what I will say, right, is I rock with y'all, and that's what family does, right? Iron sharpens diamonds. Iron sharpens iron. Diamonds sharpen diamonds.
This is
so
true.
We keep each other sharp. So, as we go on to our first topic of the evening, right? Black customers basically have a distrust of financial markets. Where have you heard that before? Is this anything new? Is this anything different? For the most part, no, it's not. But today, I saw a couple things and wanted to talk about it. And I thought these were very, very interesting, these articles. Oh, wow, that's how this is rocking on me. Okay. I see how this is going.
Not going well.
Just go to the headline because I saw like, well, there we go.
Yeah, I have to keep it open, and I'm still getting my my new space together. So bear with me for a second, y'all. I gotta get all my monitors up.
Camera looking crispy though, I'll tell you that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So a pathway to financial security doesn't lead to a 401k. This article talked about a lot of things, right? As it says here, the subtitle says some Black and Hispanic millennials are looking to alternatives like real estate or entrepreneurships or trading stock on their own. And so it goes through a journey of this young man and a few other experts, but they're basically talking about how a lot of people, again, we all know this, Black folks, young Black folks, don't have a trust in the system. And so, I like the article. I like how they're highlighting it, brother. I had some issues with some of the angles, but I get it. But before we jump into this real quick, are y'all seeing a lot of millennials? Are y'all millennials, by the way? Courtney,
I don't even know how to define millennial no more because I've seen it defined so many ways. Like, what's the date?
It's 1981.
See, I've heard 81. I've heard 83. I've heard so I don't even know what a millennial is no more.
So because
the whole thing is a group of the reason why it starts at 81. If you look anywhere, it says 80. Like the real statements say 81 because we became of age at the turn of millennial. We were 99 babies. We graduated from high school in 99. So that's kind of where the number comes from. So it's 81 to blah 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 to like 90 something. But yeah. And there's actually like a little subgroup called Xennials that covers, I think, 79 to like 83 or something. That kind of is like a little bridge area that like they're not, the 79 and 80 aren't really Xers, Generation Xers, but then you also have like the early 80 babies that are millennials, but like they're old millennials. Like I describe myself as a Tandy computer and the newer millennials as iPhones.
Okay.
Right, well, I'm not that. So I'm a Gen Xer or whatever you call it. I see people say Xennial, whatever.
Right.
But yeah. But anyway, to answer your question though, I do see this. And a lot of it also is because of social media, though.
Facts.
You know.
Well, and I think it's problematic. Because one of the things, and Jimmy and I talk about this a lot, is that there's a lot of benefits and a lot of tax benefits by actually going through the traditional methods. So, but you can go inside the traditional method and you can go outside. And the real magic is kind of combining all of the things together. But a lot of people don't understand it. And honestly, no one has ever had a 401k explained to them, for the most part, at work. And the reason being, at one point, is that you couldn't. Like, they wouldn't allow the 401k sponsor to actually provide for the 401k education. And then they kind of allowed at one point, I want to say like mid 2000s, to kind of help people with like a third party software. But it still wasn't the education that everybody needs. Like, you get your dental information, you get your health information, and then you get your 401k. And, hey, you're going from a defined benefit plan where you get a pension and you're basically, quote, taken care of. I have it in air quotes. But now you're going to a defined contribution plan, which is a 401k, 403b, 457 TSP. And it's just basically like, put in some money, figure it out. I hope you win, maybe, possibly, So I can see, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Courtney. Go ahead.
And so I can see both sides. I can see all of the sides, but I really think it's unfortunate because I feel like when we have a distrust of the system, but instead of trying to learn the system, we get outside of the system. And I think you can do both, and I think we can do both well. But all
right, well, don't go too far, Courtney, because I want to come to that, because this article is going to talk about that. But let's go through it real quick, right? So we got the beautiful brother here on the cover. His name is Raul Duplessis. He's from New York, from the Bronx. Shout out to Jose, who's from the Bronx as well, or excuse me, lives in the Bronx, but he's from Harlem, right? But he's 36, working class. Now, I've been trying to find an actual definition of working class, and I can't find one. So if anybody in the audience knows what working class is, what the income is, throw that in the chat, because I'm really, really interested.
But hey, I think the queen is here.
The queen is here. The queen is here. Uh-oh.
Do we have music?
I'm telling.
I'm like, when did we start that?
All right, so real quick, we take a quick intermission just to welcome the queen in. Hey, Tracy, how you doing?
Hi, how are you guys? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. So real quick, we're just doing a quick run through of an article talking about how millennials, Black millennials, Latino millennials are very much distrusting of the financial system. So bear with us for a second as we go through the article. So again, this is Mrs. Duplessis, 36 years old, parents from Dominican Republic. So that makes him a second generation American here, right? Born in the States. And so he talks about how his parents worked really, really hard, didn't get a whole lot far, didn't get super far in terms of financial progress. And then his dad showed him this book. Now, I have publicly stated I don't rock with this dude, but it's the racist guy who wrote the book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Allegedly, right? So he's read this book, turned his life around. And so now he began a whole journey of financial literacy and building wealth through investments. But his problem was he couldn't find a whole lot of resources, right? And he wasn't really sure, and he didn't really feel, to Courtney's point, that a lot of the traditional routes were really, really good. And so he formed some kind of club, some kind of group that has people come in and share their insights. So there were a couple of points in here that I just wanted to go over, right? So one of them was black customers have a distrust of the system. We already know that. We talk about it all the time, right? They're less reliant on traditional assets. And there was a point in here, and I think Courtney would love this or love to hate it. Give me 1 second. This is all right. If you're trying to build wealth and you don't already have a significant asset base, It's hard to do that using mutual funds and ETFs. Now, this is one of the contributors here, right? And he says, particularly with people of color, they want to build something they can pass down. So I find that in today's time, especially with the millennials, and Courtney talk about the iPhones.
Can you repeat that though? That didn't make any sense to me.
Okay, so I'm going to read the paragraph preceding it, right? So he talks about how he says he's finding that people of color tend to be less reliant on investing assets and traditional methods that are going to build wealth slowly, especially if they're the first generation in their family to try to create real financial security. If you're trying to build wealth and you don't already have a significant asset base, it's hard to do that using mutual funds and ETFs. So this is one of the contributors. His name is Ken Alonzo, and he's a former investment banker. Now, I wouldn't go to an investment banker for any kind of commentary on a personal finance issue, but they did. And if y'all don't know what an investment banker is, an investment banker usually is the person that helps to structure deals, initial public offerings, bond raises, initial stock raises, things like that. They usually are dealing with business to business, sometimes some high net worth, but it's typically business to business, corporations, unions, things like that. They're not really dealing with personal people one-on-one. But that was his thing. That was his commentary. All right.
Commentary.
That's what?
It's bad commentary.
It's terrible.
That's why I said you would love to hate it.
As a matter of fact, it's worse than terrible. It's deplorable.
This is disgusting.
All right, so here's another comment, right? Black people were targeted with products that were subprime over products at different terms than white people got.
That's true.
Right. And so that comment speaks to kind of how the generation forms its opinion and outlook on financial markets in current day, right? Because they saw a lot of us get mistreated. And I mean, I don't think that's any different than any other previous generation. But this one, because 08, 09 was so bad, so many people lost their jobs, it's really hard to really shake that. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, this goes to a problem that I have in general, where to me this sounds more like the lottery ticket mentality, right? People are.
Hold on, Jimmy. Hold that.
I'm all right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
Hold that. I already know where you're going. All right. So then they kind of highlight a story. I don't want to go over that. Talks about. I want to go to this last point, and then we can get to y'all thoughts on this.
I'm gonna have to get at this. This might even end up in a reel. But I had an issue with a reel earlier this week, and I don't really want to.
I'm gonna let Courtney do the reel, and I'm gonna remix it. It's the remix, baby.
All right, come on, focus, y'all. All right, so Mr. DePlease said he decided to put money in a 401k when he finally got the chance to open an account 2 years ago, when he became eligible to do so through his union. But he said he's not sure how much to trust it, since both of his parents lost money in their accounts during the financial crisis in 2008, and he was unable to make any contributions while the hotel where he worked closed during the pandemic. Many Black and Hispanic workers don't even have the option of opening a 401k. All right, then it talks about Federal Reserve data shows that 68% of white working age families have access to employer-sponsored defined contribution plans, such as a 401k, compared to about 56% of Black workers and 44% of Hispanic workers. All right. And so just this last point, because I don't want to have it linger on. Now, this guy, to his point, is talking about the rise of social media and everybody out there. So he says, Mr. Duplessis said he devoured resources on markets and dove into the mechanics of trading equities, options, and other assets. Alarmed at what he viewed as predatory targeting of young minority investors, he started an invitation-only group on Instagram where they could share insights and strategies for free. He said he's been investing mostly in stocks, though he also dabbled in options and cryptocurrencies. Now, here's the point. I consider those guys to be the biggest scammers in the world. That's often a conversation we have behind the scenes at the Black Wealth Project. So that's why I thought it was very, very interesting. So Mr. DePleesa said he was a self-styled investment guru, whom he's described as exploiting young adults who don't know where to turn for advice. I know no one had this place to find that information. I was so poor, I understand where they're coming from. So again, another point. Now, this is the last point, y'all. I apologize. This comment here, or this quote here, is because of racial wealth gap and its history, there's just much less wealth, much less of a buffer, which means fewer paths toward wealth creation. All right, it says arguing that 401k is not necessarily a one-size-fit-all solution. A 401k is a privilege, a luxury. She said, a 401k was not designed for working class wages. Now that was from...
Neither was options trading. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Right.
I was like,
Hold on. And that was said by Mrs. Bardarian, a law professor.
She
She
should probably
specialized
stick to
in...
her law profession and not.
Lord have mercy. Lord have
everybody's
mercy.
coloring out of the lines here. What is happening?
Like,
Yeah.
sis, stick to whatever torts, whatever contracts, civil procedure. Quoted in New York Times. New York Times, this ain't it. This is not the article. This is pretty terrible. And 401ks, yes, we have been kept out of wealth. Absolutely. And it has been going on for years. But to say that 401ks are a privilege, I think you're reaching, sis. And here's the other thing. There's a saver's credit for low income. All right.
But here's the thing,
Yeah.
Courtney, right? This is the beauty of the Black Wealth Project. This is why we're here. They're talking about Black and brown people as it relates to finance. Well, I would take our team against any team that's out on the market right now, and I believe we would beat anybody, right? And so we understand these issues. Yes, can it be a little bit hard to save when you are a quote-unquote middle class employee? By the way, did anybody find those stats on what the income range is?
So
But I've seen it. But I've seen it done. I've seen single mothers making $11 an hour with 3 children put money into their 401k plan, right? It's so many factors. And I know why Courtney is saying this is trash, right? Because every article is about an angle. And so when you get this angle in journalism and you don't really truly understand it, you paint it wrong. You paint it wrong because nobody will tell you that your 401k is the only option. It's a toolbox, right? 401k is a tool. The question is, however, what's your strategy? And if you don't understand the strategy and how to use the tools, you usually wind up worse off than you started.
Well, hold on, though. Most people don't even understand how these things work. And I think that's
correct.
What the problem is. It's really a lack of knowledge or it's not anything else. Because if you have a 401k, especially if you have an employer match, what's better than that?
It's free money.
It's literally 100%
Free money.
return, like up to whatever percentage that is. But it's like, what's better than that? Like, this just astounds me but the thing is, though, I'm online just like everybody else. So I see the anti-Roth IRA, the anti-401k.
Yep.
But then when I hear the people give their reason for being anti that, I realize they don't even understand how these products work at all.
At
all. Right? The crazy thing about it is creating wealth, right? Isn't that difficult, right? But it's the discipline, right? And the consistency that goes into it. Because if the fact of the matter is, I can find out how people make their money. One of the things that I do, like, in our private group that I share all the time is look at where these politicians are putting their money, right? The powers that be literally have to report what they do and how they're doing it. Guess what their money is tied up into? 401ks, IRAs, deferred compensation plans. Like, this is where their money is, right? So I can literally just follow their blueprint because they're not. So, and that's the thing. We do have a mistrust of government and big institutions, and that's not without reason, right? It's not without reason. But we have to get over that because we have to be competing on every playing field, right? We can't just jump into options. That's not for everybody, right? If anything, some of the things that brother was talking about not being for people, he actually has it reversed. He has it reversed because if you have an ability to get a 401k with a match and you're not taking it, you are literally getting rid of 100% return. Like to me,
now, Jimmy, how hard is it to get it 100% return?
Listen, Warren Buffett is considered the greatest investor of all time. His average return is like what, 20%, somewhere around there? Like
21%. 21%.
It's 21%. It's between 20 and 30. It's between 20 and 30, but that's his average return, and he's considered the greatest investor of all time. So I think that people have this thing confused, right? You have to listen. You gotta practice the fundamentals and the basics. And the thing is, the literature is out there. If you ever read Millionaire Next Door, people have their money. They make their money in a couple ways, like it's 401ks or it's real estate. Like it's not even that.
It's 401ks, real estate. But I want to go back to what Courtney said, right? And this is a conversation she and I have a lot. The brother seems like he's self-taught. And so with a lot of these self-taught folks, they can only see one angle of the situation. And so a lot of times Courtney's doing the ad-libs right now. A lot of times you don't see the bigger picture because you never were able to look at the blueprints. You're only looking at the tools. So again, you don't know what your strategy is.
And you only know how it applies, if at all, to your situation. And so everybody feels that their situation is the norm and they should be able to give their blueprint to everyone. And that's just not what happens. That's not the way it works. But again, when you're self-taught, you just don't understand. You only see the trees and you don't see the forest. And I think that's just a very dangerous situation for people to be in. I've seen so many different things. And I'm just like, I think Aisha was talking about it the other day, how people were.
Who was Aisha?
She's the GOAT. She's the greatest.
What's her name?
The greatest central graduate of all time, next to my father.
Whoa.
Y'all see that? Y'all see that slander? She set y'all up for that.
With the slander.
I did.
With the high school slander.
We used to high school slander. What are you talking about?
So that was Jimmy and Corey slander.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I'm messing with Jimmy and Corey. So,
well, Courtney, can I interrupt you real quick? I just have a quick question.
You central grads are okay.
No, but Tracy, I'm curious. What are you driving today? It looks different.
A spaceship.
I'm sorry, Courtney. I couldn't help it.
So, but she was talking about the other day. She said, I hate that people are told to pay down debt before they start investing. What?
I think Tracy was talking. I think Tracy's got a lag.
Oh.
So go ahead, Courtney. I'm sorry.
It was the commentary that she was saying that people are told not to invest. Wait, where'd Tracy go? Tracy, where are you, honey? Are you back?
I'm here.
Okay. It broke up for a second.
All right. So the conversation was that we can hear you. That people are told to not invest and pay down like low interest debt before they start investing. And it's just like, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, you have time. It's time in the market. So the longer you're in the market, the more successful you'll be just by the law of averages. And that's kind of how things work. Cool. But a lot of people end up kind of like, well, I have to do this first before I do that. And it's like, no, you can walk and chew gum. As you pay down your debt, you can put more money to invest, but you can do both and you have to do both. And it's just so frustrating because, again, you have a lot of people that are these self-taught people. And it's like, you got that from Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey doesn't know what he's talking about.
Listen. First
there's
off,
a couple of alabaster bobbleheads that talk that.
Listen, man, Dave Scamsey has such a big platform that people just follow that stuff. And listen, I from personal experience, rental properties help me pay my debt off faster. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Cash flow from rental properties. So you buy the investment and have the investment help you pay your debt. But that's the thing about personal finance. It's personal. There is no one size fits all approach. And I think that's part of the problem, because anytime someone tells you that is one way to do things, don't listen to them people. Either they're lying or they're not telling the truth.
Or they don't know.
Or they don't know.
Just don't know. So
that
run.
So, but either way, run fast. Run fast. Like, and I think those are the things that bother me the most. It's like, again, you know, people have such a big platform. A lot of people say it, but that doesn't necessarily mean. I tell people when we're having the conversation about where the next steps are and what they should be doing, I ask the question, what are your goals? That's where you start.
Yeah.
That's not sexy, Courtney.
I think my goals are extremely sexy.
But for most people, they don't want to do that. They just want to
Most
know.
people don't have goals. And I think that's the bigger problem. It's really not even goals aren't sexy. Goals are sexy because they belong to you and they're aspirational for you. But a lot of people are so caught up in the day-to-day that they do not have the opportunity to think beyond it. And they don't have the opportunity to think about it.
We should do a show on goals. Everybody share one of their goals. And that includes you guys watching too.
Yeah, that's a good one. Goals.
We can do that next week.
And a fulfilled goal. I mean, I think that's really powerful. Like a future goal, but a goal that you fulfilled. Like I'm sitting in a goal fulfilled right now.
Oh, talk.
I'll say this too, right? Because me and Courtney talk about this as well. I think you need to know what your purpose is to really tune in on your goals or clue in on your goals. And a lot of people don't have a purpose, or at least they don't know it. They haven't discovered it yet.
Start with why.
Yep.
You start with the why. But I still think that even without a full, clear statement of your purpose, because I think a lot of people search their whole life for that. But you can still have goals. You still know what you want. You know, you can still say, you know, hey, I want to buy a house. And it may not be like a lot of people are like, yeah, it's the best financial decision. It may not be the best financial decision.
Oh man, I got into that on our last IG post on Buy the Hoods. I was like, God, like you want engagement, but then people just be like, you have to buy a house. There's only one way. And I'm like, not necessarily. Because you can't argue. Sometimes math tells you otherwise, depending upon where you want to live. Like, again, personal finance is personal.
We're talking math, man. That's like practice.
Like, but that's true. I mean, I think if you live in like California, you live in San Francisco,
exactly,
it may not make sense for you to purchase a house. It just may
also, go ahead, Courtney.
I mean, it just may not make sense for you to purchase a house. And here's the other thing that I had a conversation about today is that owning real estate is a responsibility. So if you're irresponsible, you're going to have a real hard time with real estate because it requires you to be responsible with your bills, which includes your tax bills. You may have a sewer bill. You may have a school tax bill. You may have a whole bunch of bills. It requires you to actually keep up with your maintenance on your property. You know, if not, you're going to get cited by your municipality. Whatever the rules and regulations are. If you have tenants, you know, you have rules and regulations as a landlord. There's so many different things for you to be responsible for. And I know a lot of people, and this is not shade, that are not responsible. So adding a real estate to their portfolio is a bad idea. And that's okay. But again, personal finance is personal. But when you tell people you must do it this way or you must do it that way, that's really problematic. And you end up losing wealth because you're ending up doing something that really wasn't for you.
All right, so let's take a quick pause. We ain't checked in with our folks yet. Remember, tonight's question is, what podcast are you listening to, folks? And why are you listening to it? But real quick, Robbie's here. How are you?
Robbie, how are you? The Queen's back on, by the way.
Yeah.
Monica's here. Don Johnson's in the building.
Goody.
Romain's here.
Romain.
Willard's in the building. Yes, the body of the crew held it down last week. Yes.
Oh, Willard, appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you.
Willard.
All right. Monica says, my top hotties right now are Jacked, The Rise of the New Jack Sound, Actual Innocence, Business Wars, and Reveal. But I'm always listening to a bunch of the time. All right. I got some new ones for y'all.
You got some new fire?
Yeah, I got some new ones. It's very
mortgage. What is it? Medicine to mortgages?
No, medicine to mortgages
Yes.
is dope too.
Yes,
I was asking Liz when her next episode is coming out.
Hey, listen, man. I listened to Liz's first episode. I was like, oh my God, like she put it all out there.
Right.
Crazy.
She put it all out there.
Too.
And yo, I was telling her voice is awesome. Her storytelling is phenomenal. She's a natural. She's definitely dope at it. Hey, Latoya.
Hey, Toya.
Angela, what's going on?
Angela.
All right.
Hey.
Robert's Gen X.
Okay.
All right. Latoya says, I want them to stop telling our business to them folks.
That's
And
fair.
not Jimmy Corey.
Yeah.
Signals.
People are always running their mouths. I'm like, you gotta keep some stuff, close to your breast. I feel like we're just so close to wanting to be seen is that we just talk to it.
I mean, it's an article. I mean, I think it's good talking points, right? It helps to expand the conversation, go deeper into the conversation, and say, yo, look, maybe you need to look at your 401k a little bit deeper now that you're in a union.
But also
what you think it is.
just to shoot my guy some bail. I've also known how some journalists can take something you say and then spin it a whole different way. So
listen.
So got to keep that in mind too.
All right, Monica says Zennials are those who had a analog childhood and a digitalized young adult life.
That's facts.
Okay.
Yeah, but so did Gen Xers though, to a certain degree.
Nah, man, they missed a lot of the analog life.
Gen Xers.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, you
No,
did.
I didn't miss a lot of the analog
So
life.
did you
You're
have
not a Gen Xer either.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Was that shade? Oh,
He's an old Gen X.
that was shade. Okay.
Oh, Gen Xer. I don't know none of that stuff. It's sexy to do everything.
Yep, right. It is. Don, you're right. That's why I'm not strong on 401k plans. Why are you not strong on 401k plans, Rob?
Talk to. Now here's the thing. Here's a cheat code. I actually was a 401k specialist at Merrill Lynch. That's how I started my service and investment side. So I actually know more than the average bear on 401ks. And when I see my 401k, I get very excited. I have what is considered a safe harbor plan. So instead of vesting, my employer, you have two ways to get your employer matched. Sometimes they vest it, and sometimes it's vested over a time period or a schedule, or sometimes it's actually immediately vested. With a safe harbor plan, all of the money that my employer puts in is immediately vested. So if I leave tomorrow, all of the money that my employer put in for me goes with me. Amen. I love it. It makes me happy.
Okay. Thank you, Courtney. All right. Don Johnson gave the definition. Working class, a social economic group consisting of people who are employed in manual or industrial work. He came from the working class. But here's the issue, right? One, I was asking for the income range, right? And people that do manual work also include people in the unions. So you could be in a union making 100,000 plus doing manual labor. That doesn't really tell us where you're at, though.
But here's the thing, though. All right, just getting back to that whole 401k thing. Like the moves that I made this year in my Raw 401k.
How'd you learn about that, Jimmy?
Listen, I was about to give you your flowers. Courtney showed me how to properly use a Raw 401k, and it's the greatest investment vehicle there is. I can literally make 6,000% in there. You know what I'm saying? And with that has tax benefits. And if I need to get capital, I can get capital when I want. Like there's nothing better than that, right? But the thing is, until you really sit down and study how to use these vehicles, all you know is you work at a job and you have a 401k. It's a lot deeper than that.
Right.
One of the newest books I got is called It's called Rolf's for the Rich by a guy named Will Duffy. But what Will Duffy is talking about is how to get $100,000 into your Roth on an annual basis, right? Now I haven't read the book yet, but I just got this. But it's called Rolf's for the Rich. And
I gotta check that out.
My point in saying that is there's certain strategies and certain ways that you use these vehicles. But this is what the wealthy listen. Mitt Romney got several $1 billion in a Roth IRA.
No, it's not Mitt Romney. His was like 450 million.
400 million, whatever. But he got a crazy bag in there too, though.
Yeah, it was the board.
No, he got $6 billion. Mitt Romney got 400 million. Something crazy.
I think Peter Thiel. I think it's Peter.
No,
Thiel.
Peter Thiel got like $6 billion in his, but Mitt Romney himself got like 400 million. He had to disclose that when he ran for president. And everybody's wondering, like, how the hell did he get this into this retirement vehicle? Because when you understand the rules of the game and you know how to work, And that's the part we're missing is understanding how to use those things.
But Mitt Romney and Peter Thiel are very, very special cases, right?
No, they are special cases. But what I'm saying is when you start
I got you.
There are people that also have 10 million. They have 10 million, 15 million in Roth IRAs, 401k. So, but the thing is, the Roth 401k though.
Right, but just real quick, because I just want to give people some context. Peter Thiel and Mitt Romney both worked in venture capital, and that allowed them to buy low basis stock, low costing stock before it IPO'd, which was in their 401ks. So they had a double cheat code, actually.
Yeah, but Peter Thiel got a $6 billion untaxable bag.
I'm clear on that. I'm not.
No, but what I'm saying is, if you know how to use this right, there's certain strategies.
Right. No. But I'm just saying they got a double bag because not only were they in a great industry, which gave them access to those plays.
Yeah, but they also leveraged how to use it.
They also leveraged the tax code. Yes,
because other people had that same ability and didn't do it. So you can't just say because they ran up a bag that that they're not. No, they used it because they understood the product, and the government is on Peter Thiel's ass, and they can't do nothing to him unless they tear down the whole.
I can go buy pre-IPO stock tomorrow and put in my account. I mean, well, I'm maxed out this year, but
no, you can still use the assets. You can actually do a self-directed and then use those assets.
Yeah, but I'm saying I maxed out the raw forward, but it doesn't matter though, because like I've actually traded options in mine, and it's like, man, listen. All I'm gonna say is once I understood the actual strategies that you can use, I told Courtney, I said, yo, I feel like I'm cheating, yo,
because you are,
but I'm not.
No, you're cheating within the rules. What I'm saying is
you're cheating within the rules. It's not cheating.
Courtney, cue the music. The tax code is what?
What? The tax code is a cheat code. I said it.
A whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
And I miss it. Every week. I try to tell people, like, listen, I told Jimmy, I was like, Jimmy, let me hit you in all these things. And Jimmy said, I'm on it. And that's the other thing. The real problem is that we will get the best information and not take action. So that's really, I gave that information to Jimmy, like on some random day. Jimmy hits me up a week later talking about I'm all set up and ready to go.
Listen.
What?
You ain't got to tell him twice.
You ain't got exactly. You don't have to tell me twice. Because once I, because the thing is, I listen, I trust your word. And then once I went from your word to start looking it up, I'm like, why wasn't I never told this? And again, I had a securities license and I didn't know any of this.
I have a tax law degree, baby. A financial advisor. We just put that together in the sauce. You make that on simmer. I retired my mommy. She went from bankruptcy to a fully funded 401k because we don't play over here.
So y'all see what happens when Courtney be fighting these demons out here. She really getting her bag.
Yeah.
She
let her hands go.
Yes. All right. So now I want to get back to what Don said. Don said the basics will take you so far.
Absolutely.
Let's just fail. People just fail to realize it.
So there's something I would like to say about that, about the basics, right? So most people think that Michael Jordan was the greatest athlete to ever play basketball, and that's not true. Michael Jordan was the most fundamentally sound basketball player of all time. And that's why he was the best basketball player of all time. It's because he understood. Tom Brady is the best quarterback of all time because he's fundamentally sound.
Well, the greats always rely on the fundamentals.
They say that the boy from Nebraska is the best investor of all time because he's fundamentally sound. You know what I mean? Like those people are Warren Buffett. They say because he's fundamentally sound.
Hey, Corey, I just want to say real quick though, that's an amazing T-shirt, bro.
It is.
Yeah, I was looking at it. Let me see.
I can't see it. Hold on.
It says real estate is essential.
Yay! That's my T-shirt.
Oh, I need that.
Yes, it looks good. I love it. Yes, link in the bio. Real Estate Tracy on Instagram.
But I'm saying, do I get a shout out?
Drop the joint. Drop the link.
Do I get a shout out, Tracy? I mean, what are we talking about?
But why?
Oh yeah, shout out to you for
Hold on. Did he just switch his hat because he wanted to get a shout out too? He literally just switched his hat.
What hat is that?
You see this Core? He didn't want you to get no shine. You got a little bit of shine. He went and switched his hat.
Listen, man, I ain't worried about Kamari. I told you, I don't. He be talking about we be clapping at him. I minded my business. I just showed Tracy some love, and then he had to try to step in the spotlight when I was standing.
No, listen, you know this hat is dope. You know
what is this hat? Oh, it's his hustle.
Hustle.
So you really changed your hat, Kamari?
He literally went and changed his hat
because
wardrobe
he had the week hat on. He had the BOD of the week hat on, and then he had to change the joint so he can get a little.
He didn't want Corey to get his shot. You know, he didn't want Corey to go shine.
Kamari wasn't hugged as a child. You could tell Kamari wasn't hugged as a child.
No. Well, that might be true, Corey, but I wanted to make sure Tracy, we highlighted her business, so it was a double whammy.
Yeah.
OMG, I'm so tickled.
We all support each other.
Y'all.
We do.
Hold on. So let's give some love to the people in the comments. All right. So Jose says, quick question for the panel. What professional organizations are good for anyone looking for a career in financial services?
I don't know.
I mean, that's such a broad question. It depends upon, like, first off, what are you like focusing on in terms of financial services? Like, are you trying to be a stockbroker, financial planner, or accountant? Like, that's very difficult to answer.
Yeah, John, back in on that. Give us a little bit more context, Jose.
We do need more context. I mean, I'm going to be very honest that when I was working on a regular basis, full time in financial services, there wasn't really any organization out there that I used, went to, whatever. And I mean, at Merrill, we did have affinity groups. So we had like the Black Professionals Network or something like that. But it wasn't necessarily a group that was like more of a professional organization. Like I'm a member of the American Bar Association. I haven't seen anything like that, but that's, that was my experience. So.
Okay. So Don chimes in. He's piggybacking off of Courtney's commentary about Aisha Sheldon. Says she's the only people.
Stop saying Sheldon.
It's Sheldon.
Sorry. Aisha Sheldon. Excuse me, y'all. Forgive me. She is one of the only people with a large social media following that preaches long-term buy and hold. She shows real results, and people just ignore the receipts.
That's facts.
Mm-hmm.
Very much facts. Very much facts. All right, Latoya says, I've never understood folks taking advice from people who don't look like them or come from similar background. Got to do your research or your sources anyway.
That's an amazing point, because I worked for a huge company when I was in financial services too. I worked for Aegon, and I would sit in meetings, and I would realize that, culture is important, right? Just even understanding where our folks come from, how we look at money, our relationship with money is a little bit different. So you go to, and I see it in real estate too. I see it in real estate where people who are, in the hood, they go hire these agents from out like Oxford or somewhere crazy who don't understand the neighborhood, understand the cultures. All they do is throw a sign in front of your house and they never show back up again. You know what I mean? And then if they don't sell it, they'll literally leave the sign in front of your house. All right, I'm ranting a little bit. But the point is, culture is important when it comes to financial services as it pertains to real estate, and on the other side as it pertains to investing. So having someone that looks like you to understands where you come from and your culture is very important.
Very, very important.
All right, so Tori comes through with another central shout out. I learned from y'all always. Please don't want to learn. People don't want to learn new things. That's one thing Central taught me, to be a lifelong learner.
If you're not learning, you get it.
That's key. Hey, Tay.
Hey, what's goody?
All right. Don says, been employed since 17, and it just made sense from my standpoint to buy a house. I move at my own pace.
That's
real. First of all, can we give Don a shout out? Don just bought his castle. He moved, I think, down to Carolina somewhere. So Don just settled on his castle.
Virginia, right? I think
Don
moved
he just moved, I believe. Don, where'd you move to? I think Carolina.
I think it was Virginia.
Oh, he moved.
He was in North Carolina. Now he's in Virginia.
In Carolina and went to Virginia, but he just settled on his castle. So congratulations, Don.
Congratulations.
Very nice.
I got that one. All right, so Jose comes through with the podcast, right? Catching up on Fred Talks, and I'm also listening to the Finance Rebel podcast.
That's our brother right there. That's our bro, Fred.
Shout out to Fred.
I'm super behind, Jose. I got like 20 episodes that need to be uploaded.
And it's Fred Talks is TALX.
Yep.
TALX. Okay.
Yeah, TALX. Shout out to Fred. That's the bro.
All right. Robbie says you got a lot to say. All right. So what you say? Unload it. Give it to us. Why don't you like 401k plans?
Yeah,
Let's go.
put it on us.
All right. So GC says, GC's chiming in from YouTube. How many returns does your 401k generate per annual on average? That's going to
if you have a
hold on. That's going to depend on your investment mix. Go ahead, Corey.
But if you got a match, it automatically generates 100%. So no matter whatever it's making in the market, if it doesn't make $1 in the market, you made 100% just putting it there.
All right, let's take worst case scenario. There's no match.
You just made if it's no match, then if they market mix, if they just put it in VTI and in the S&P, is you averaging 8 to 12% a year.
So here's the problem. So Corey's right. Now, if there is no match, here's the problem with 401ks is that they typically you don't learn anything about them, and so your 401k, your index fund is going to say your S&P 500 index. That's what Corey's talking about when he says VTI, which is the Vanguard.
Yeah, that's the total stock market index.
That's the total stock market, and then the other one is the S&P 500.
That's VOO.
Yeah, so but again, I say that is that we know the ETFs. A lot of people's 401ks may not have them by that name, but you're always going to be looking for an index, and you're always going to be looking for like the S&P 500. This is not investment advice. S&P 500 or something like that in terms of, because what happens is you have your actively managed funds and your passively managed funds. Over time, typically your passively managed funds are going to do better, not necessarily because the market does better all the time. We hope that our active managers do better, but they actually cost more when you're actually looking between somebody's using their mind versus kind of using a computer or using kind of a recipe. Think of it that way. So that's really the difference. So more or less, you're going to do, if you follow the stock market, you follow a total stock market index or S&P 500, you're going to basically make what the market makes.
And most of the time, you're right. It's not in the ETF. Go ahead.
Hold on, Jimmy. And for the record, this is not investment advice, right?
I said that.
I didn't hear you, but I want to make it clear. This is not investment advice. Before you buy or sell any securities, go talk to your investment and tax advisor.
Yes, this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I was going to say VTSAX is the index fund, and VFIAX is the 500.
Yep.
But those are, and again, those are Vanguard. So your plan might not have Vanguard, right? So
it might be in Fidelity or somewhere
else. It could be in anything.
But the point I'm making is, even if you have a 401k or 403b or 457, any of these products, you still got to do a little bit of work yourself. And I think that's another point that has to be made. Sometimes people feel like I have this thing at work and I just throw stuff into it. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just take a target. Like, go look and see what you have available to you, because you might have a product that's better than what just whatever they're going to give you. So you always have to be involved in your personal finances, right? Always have to be involved in your personal finances.
It's an active sport. So Robbie says most people don't have that court. So
talking about
when you said
safe harbor, she's talking about the safe harbor. So the immediate vesting. I don't know what the safe harbor plans look like now. I think a lot more plans are doing safe harbor because they have discrimination testing. This is really beyond the scope of the Black Wealth Project. But more or less is that people do have it. It's more common than it was before, or you have your vesting schedule. I think the most that it can be is 5 years. So
GC, we kind of answered that, I believe. Come back if you need more clarity. Hey, Gahan, how you doing?
My raw 401k percentage, I'm in the 3 digits right now, so I'm loving life.
All right, so Jose says working class income range. The working class is 30% earns 30% of the middle class. I believe he's saying earns 19,000 to 45,000. So again, while that doesn't sound like a whole lot, it really depends on your overall lifestyle and what's going on with you.
And where you're living at.
Like that. Right. Yes, Peter Thiel used the Roth. He absolutely did. But Peter really got rich off of venture capital. Yep, that's what I was talking about.
Yep.
They brought stock for pennies. They did. But again, to go back to the point Corey made after I made that point, people still have the advantage of using the Roth in a lot of ways and leverage their wealth. Literally 1 penny. Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah, but that now all of that money is growing untaxed.
No. But
that's the-
again, but the point is everybody doesn't have access to that opportunity. That's all I'm saying.
Some of those opportunities, yes, but now guess what?
Right.
There are more opportunities for us to even get involved in pre-IPO stages, and you can
There
put
are.
them in your 401ks and your Roths. We can do that these days.
Well, you have to do it in self-directed. It can't be. It's usually
Yes. And again, investment advice has to be self-directed.
Right.
But it has to be because a lot of times it's 401ks have a menu, and some of them may have what's called a self-directed brokerage account inside the 401k, but those are usually your more sophisticated plans. But if this is not investment advice, this is not tax advice, this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you have the availability to do what's called an in-kind distribution, you can roll over to a self-directed account, either a 401k or an IRA, to take advantage of some of these more sexier type of investments.
But you can buy real estate, you could buy crypto, you could do all the things that the young man was talking about in the article.
Absolutely. And you can do it on a tax advantage basis, but you do need to talk to your financial advisor and you do need to talk to your tax advisor before you implement any of these strategies. Because if you get it wrong, you really have a problem on your hands.
And you also need to talk to your plan sponsor as well, because most times, especially when you're younger, you don't have access to in service withdrawals. It can be really tricky.
Did I call it an in-kind?
I know, yeah, in-kind in service, basically.
It's in service. In-kind is the transfer of stock. So my bad. In service withdrawals, you may be able to do it. Some employers do have a certain, like, sometimes they just allow you, even as a young person, to take out a certain source of money. But again, this is way beyond Black Wealth Project stuff.
All right, so Angela says, how can we get that info to Courtney and Jimmy?
I'm joking. What'd you say, Court?
I'm having a class. We'll have a class on it. You know,
when we go
transition, the rollout's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have some fun.
Let's go.
All right, so Roscoe Hill says, I'm a dip in and dip out real quick, but today is my birthday. All right, happy born day.
Happy born day.
Happy born day, Roscoe.
Y'all have held me down these last 9 months, and I appreciate it.
Fire. Happy born day.
Too.
Thank you, Roscoe. Appreciate you. It's funny, man. I hear a lot of people say that they wouldn't have been able to make it through without us being here. So it makes us feel good just to hear that.
Absolutely. That's dope.
Happy birthday.
All right, Don moved from NC to VA.
Woo-hoo.
He in Virginia. Ain't nothing to do but cook.
Happy birthday, go Team Libra. All right, we got the Zodiac Wars going on. All right. Come on, Robbie. Talking about you can't type all that.
She did say some more.
Oh, she did? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. More happy birthdays. Again, happy birthday to Roscoe. All right. That 401k question was referring to people letting other people invest for them. So most times employees are not letting other investment companies.
Mm-hmm.
So going again, let me scratch that. What Courtney said, right? There's a menu. And inside of that menu, a lot of times you will have some investment managers. Some are passive that just follow the index. Some are active, but it depends.
Gotta look at the menu.
Yes,
gotta look at the menu. I got marriage on my menu. But listen though, one of the things I recognize in most 401ks that I've ever had, like in my life, is that there usually is some sort of equivalent to the 500 or the total stock market.
Absolutely.
Whether it's Fidelity, whether it's Vanguard, there's always something that's and I always look for those.
So there's usually 500, like an S&P 500. There's usually a real estate one. There's usually a bond one. There's usually a money market one. I've done a lot of 401k education. It's really hard, right?
And those target date funds I hate, but go ahead.
I hate them. I
hate them with a passion.
Yeah, because they're more
investment
expensive.
advice.
Their fees.
Yeah,
their
not
fees
investment
are
advice.
higher.
Not investment advice.
Comments jumped. There we go. All right. Or the vesting period is not immediate. No, but
it's cliff vesting. I mean, you have a couple. You have a stair step vesting, you have cliff vesting, and then you have the immediate vesting. Like I said, immediate vesting is becoming a lot more common because the safe harbor plan actually requires less paperwork and nobody wants to do the paperwork. So one of the big things about a 401k is that they have what's called non-discrimination testing, and they're trying to make sure that the high highly compensated employees are not contributing at a higher percentage rate than the lower compensated employees. So the problem is when you have a smaller plan, like a doctor's office or attorney's office, is that typically your lower compensated employees just aren't going to contribute that much, but it really makes a difference because there's not that many of you. So the percentages are off. So what they do as a solution is do what's called a safe harbor, which basically vests everything at once. There's no discrimination testing. Everybody is happy. On the other side, you have cliff vesting, which I think cannot be more than 3 years. So one day you have zero of your employer's money, and then the next day you have it all. That's 3 years. And then you have the stair step, which I think is no more than 5. So, I mean, it's not all yours at once, but a lot of people are staying with jobs a lot longer. And even if you're not, and you're there for 2 years, you're going to get 20% of your match if you have a stair step. If you have cliff, no, you're not going to get it. But sometimes that may actually factor into whether you want to stay with the employer longer. So it's all of these conversations that we need to have. And again, it's a function of education. But again, there's not education that's available. I just spit out to you years of education about 401ks that isn't really even talked about in public. Like nobody knew why they were immediately vested. They just didn't know. But now that you know, that basically is just trying to make rich people happy and put as much money in the 401k as they want. That's really what the answer is. And it's usually trying to help out rich people. The same reason why Roth 401ks exist is because President Bush put it in play in 2001.
Yep.
So, but the other thing with cliff vesting, right?
On the back of a bill.
Yeah, it was the tax cut, whatever. It was his 2001 tax bill. Go ahead.
Right. But the other thing, right, when we talk about the vesting schedule, a lot of times that's there for retention purposes. And why does somebody want to pay you so you can run away right away? That's all, in my opinion, all microwave mentality. Why people don't like it. Well,
listen, I'll do that 5 years to get that chicken.
Yeah, like Courtney said, though, your money is still your money. And 9 times out of 10, you're still going to get the tax benefits, and you're 9 times out of 10 you're being forced to save.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of being tied to a company. I don't give a damn what they're giving me. So I understand those people who don't want to be tied to the company through their their vesting schedule.
If you're gonna give me 100% up to a certain percentage, I'll do my bid. I'm gonna do my quick 5.
I mean, and this is why personal finance is personal.
Absolutely. Listen. I worked at J&J. I still got them shares to this day.
To this
day. Shout out to J&J. I'll never say a bad word about you.
And listen, J&J has been running up, so Jimmy's got the bag. So can I borrow $1?
Hey, Courtney got all the Amazon though, so I mean.
Yeah. All right, so Robbie says most of us have trash on the menu in the 401k.
So it's a requirement. It's a requirement that you have an S&P 500 index, and it's a requirement that you have, I think, a bond index. So
your 401k is not meant to be sexy, right? We're looking to do sexy stuff in our 401k. That's not what it's meant for. So, All right, Jose says limited to 10% of my deferred comp balance, but recently figured out how to add funds directly from my check to my self-directed account.
Oh,
so
nice.
All right, with that being said, head over to the YouTube and hit the like button. Thank you, Don. Yes.
Subscribe, hit the like button, do all the fly stuff.
We are fighting the algorithms. They are our arch enemies, but guess what? The algorithms do what the people do. Algorithms like what the people like. So let the algorithms know that you like us. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the share button. All right. So we got through all the comments. We're running a little bit over, but I wanted to touch on this piece real quick.
That's what she said.
If y'all haven't noticed, Jimmy is a comedian of the group. But I want to send a special shout out to AJ Johnson. May the brother rest in peace.
Rest in power.
Yeah, absolutely. He got a lot of pushback. Well, his wife got a lot of pushback. And I don't want to go into it too deep, but he had to do a GoFundMe. There wasn't a whole lot of money left over when he passed away. I think he might have some health issues going back prior, but the internet kind of clapped back at the wife. And so I just want to talk about that real quick, right? A lot of times we say we don't like the GoFundMes. I get it. We don't feel it's being responsible, but here's the thing. In my opinion, right, if we're going to be community, we have to be able to help those who are in the best of times and in the worst of times. So I know it's rough that he didn't have life insurance. Listen, I got a story for you, right? I applied for life insurance during COVID, got denied. Couldn't get coverage because a lot of life insurance companies changed their underwriting. Plus, I have an issue with high blood pressure. So it can be really challenging at times for people not getting life insurance. So
I got new life insurance during COVID, and I got denied twice before I actually got accepted. So I know exactly that, and my wife still has problems getting certain life insurances because she has gestational diabetes. So anytime that she gets pregnant, she gets a form of diabetes.
And so I'm not trying to give anybody an out and say, no, they can't be accountable. But I think we got to have some grace, right? Again, people clap back at the wife. The woman was grieving. And so I think anytime somebody's grieving, you just take it at a grain of salt. But I am happy to say that they did meet the GoFundMe goal.
Yeah, so she was grieving, and you know, but I think it was a great opportunity to have a conversation about how we rely on GoFundMe's. And even if you cannot approve for insurance, if you are working and you are you know, generating revenue, just make sure you put something up. You know, make sure you're taking care of your family for when you're not here. You got to be prepared for these things. But I get your point too. She was grieving. That was crazy, but we got to do better. Like that's part of we as a community, we have to do better.
It's two pieces to this, right? He was in the public eye, and there's a lot of people that got a lot of money that said, you know, they were sending her all of this, I love you, I love you, I love you, these texts and messages and stuff. And she was like, look, stay out my inbox unless y'all gonna help me, because I asked for monetary help. Stay out my inbox unless you want to send me some money. And people took offense to that, and I didn't take any offense to that. I actually agree with her, right? Like, I understand that you can still love him and still, you know, do all of those things, but she asked for something specific. I want to bury my husband in a specific place and do specific things, and he didn't have life insurance. All of these people that's saying you love him, you got money, help me put him where if you love him so much, help me put him where I want to put him. Help me put him where he said he wanted to go. And so I'm not saying that the GoFundMe is the right way to do this and all of that kind of stuff. All I'm saying is, if you have a grieving person and you have the resources, and then you got these people, and she like, look, get out my face unless you want to help me. And she's like, look, I'll do it on my own, even if it takes forever. But if you're going to say that you want this done now, then help me do it now. So I get it. You know what I mean? Like,
I get it too, but I guess like, I can mean those things without giving you my money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no. I express that. What I'm saying is that if that's, then, you know, then right at that moment might not have been the time for you to express that.
And that's true too. That's absolutely true.
You can express that at a whole different time when she's not grieving immediately in her wishes haven't been met.
I agree.
Grieving and has needs. So
so it's not that you can't have those feelings and those feelings not be sincere, but at that very moment, you know what I mean? Like, that might not be the time to express those feelings, especially to her.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
But it is a teachable moment, right? And Jimmy just touched on something that a lot of Courtney touched on it too, right? Many of us don't explore all our options because we don't know what the options is, right? A lot of times people miss out on their life insurance at their employer.
Correct.
Where you're going to get it the cheapest you're ever going to get, nine times out of 10, than anywhere else. How many people are taking advantage of that? How many people are taking advantage of prepayment expenses? There's also final expense insurance. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. I'm sorry, Courtney, what were you about to say?
So that's a really good point. I mean, a lot of people have insurance, life insurance as part of their benefits package at work. So what a lot of people have said, a lot of insurance agents, which I've actually gotten on every single insurance agent's post and like went in on them. Let me say this. Every state is different because insurance is actually governed by the state. It's considered health, safety, and welfare, which is under the 10th Amendment, covered by the states. Anyway, that being said, is in Pennsylvania, if you work in Pennsylvania and you have life insurance at work, you can take it with you. But you have this is not investment advice, but you can take it with you, but you have a very short time period to do so. But what I think is I think it's
30
days. No, and that's what I want to say. It's 30 days, but it's a very short time period that you can do it. But I say to people all the time, and this I actually did this for my mother because my mother was older. She was heavier, and I mean we didn't know it, but she also, I think when she retired, she wasn't suffering with cancer, but she actually later on was diagnosed with cancer. But we ended up, she was 60 plus when she retired. So it's really hard to insure a 60 plus person that may have, and she does have high blood pressure. That's hard because the insurance companies are making a bet that they're going to get some money from you before you pass away. And so that's a hard bet when somebody is heavier, has high blood pressure, they're of color, unfortunately, or black. I should just say black. So those things are really, I mean, they do count against us a lot, especially when it comes to actuary tables. Like we really get hammered in the actuary tables, but I think that's a conversation for another day. But anyway, so you can take it with you. In Pennsylvania, it is a whole life policy, so it can be a little bit more expensive, but it's something better than nothing. But you have 30 days to do so. But what I said about life insurance agents is that they'll be like, you don't own that policy. You don't own it. No, you don't. But if you leave, you can take it with you. And I think it's very disingenuous for them to sell something and not really share that there's another way for you to get coverage outside of, going with them. And it's actually covered in the insurance book in Pennsylvania, so I don't want to hear the nonsense either. So that's the one thing. But the second thing is you also have the opportunity to do burial insurance, which just covers your final expenses. It's relatively easy to get, but it's not very expensive. But you can do that too. And there's other things that you can also self-fund. I really don't love that, but you can self-fund. So basically putting money aside specifically for your burial. And you can do that too. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to prepare yourself for death because death is inevitable for everybody. And I will say personally, recently, and I think I said this in the group chat, I had to sit down and go over my insurances the other day. Like, okay, what is covered in the event that I pass away and who gets what? And is this exactly what I want it to be? And I actually realized that it wasn't. And I'm going to have to, as a grown up, I'm going to have to make a decision with my husband that we're going to have to set up a trust. So.
And who better to do a trust than a tax attorney?
Cool, child. I don't like doing my own work, and I actually always have to have somebody check it because you'll invariably miss something.
Well, no, you probably 9 times out of 10 you shouldn't be your own lawyer, right? But you know about it, so you know what to do and you know where to go. That's my point. That's my point.
I'm gonna have the Michael Jackson set up, y'all. Michael Jackson, for clarification, Michael Jackson had a will and he had a pour over trust. So he had the irrevocable, trust of Michael Jackson, which was set up in 2001. If you do remember, he died in 2009, and he had a will that named his children's guardian and basically named like one other thing and said everything I own forever and ever goes to this trust, and that's what's called a pour over will. It pours over into the trust.
So, with that said, y'all, by the way, it's September. It's Life Insurance Awareness.
Is it?
Yes. So make sure y'all are checking over your life insurance like Courtney just did. Do a life insurance audit. Check and see how much you got, what type of insurance you have, how long it lasts, what your premiums are, who your beneficiaries are.
Big facts.
There's a lot of times people get jacked up. There's a lot of cases where people die. They had their spouse on there, their previous spouse on there. They left money to an ex, and they're now rolling over in their grave. So check all those things.
In Pennsylvania, that actually, if there's divorce, there is a provision in the divorce code that they lose their rights to any life insurance benefits. Or any benefits as a beneficiary. But it also, life insurance companies like to get slick, and they're like, they need to have a full relinquishment of any benefits as opposed to just relying on the decree. It's real messy. I have an issue like that right now.
Yeah, but there's also times when you have exes that they actually want their ex to get the proceeds, so it gets really tricky.
Well, yes, but that's why you have to have it in your divorce decree that they want.
Right.
Because otherwise it's revoked. So go ahead.
So, all right. So Monica says death is guaranteed for all of us. Yes. If you have a family that depends on you financially, you have a responsibility to do something. There's a lot of things between life insurance and the GoFundMe. I agree.
That's a t-shirt. There's a lot of things between life insurance and the GoFundMe.
I learned. All right. So Monica says I learned about the disparity in actuarial tables after 9/11. Yep.
So the actuarial tables, if people don't know, is basically how the insurance company determines what your rates are going to be, like what your mortality is, like what are the odds of you dying in a certain time period. But where Black people get dinged in that time period because typically I think our life expectancy is shorter, and we
Yeah.
tend to have more issues that will have us what's called table rated. So we get rated on a table. So you have your average non-smoker female male of this age. This is their standard rate, and then you have table, and then you have uninsurable. So the between the average person, the table is the uninsurable. And what happens is if you have high blood pressure, diabetes, whatever, you get moved onto the table. And sometimes that movement onto the table gets you all the way to uninsurable. So, but what happens is Black people really end up, we're predisposed to high blood pressure, diabetes, all the things that kind of shorten our lifespan that really kind of gets us messed up in the table, gets us to uninsurable. But it really ends up hurting us when you look at the actuary tables. Our numbers are significantly lower than a lot of other ethnicities, and it's unfortunate. It makes it very
Right.
hard and very expensive for us to be insured.
Black tax.
Absolutely.
That's one of them. And Robbie says life insurance is for life.
Well, it
In
depends.
some cases.
You have whole life, which is for your whole life, and then you have term insurance, and then you have some things that are in between. But when you have term, it's for a term of years. It's for a period of time.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people who bought term and outlived it, and yeah, so
when somebody, I was looking at a stat that said 90 something% of term policies never get paid out.
Yeah.
That's correct.
But here's the factor you have to think about when you are getting any life insurance, right? What do you need to cover? Because again, life insurance primarily's job is to replace income. So if you make $50,000 a year, your family is robbed of that $50,000 a year if you don't make it home at night. So how do you replace that? Then what can your pocketbook or wallet stand? So there is no one size shape all formula.
No, absolutely.
No, I'm just saying this for the record, right? There is no one size shape form or all. There's no cookie cutter formula for getting life insurance. You need to do what's in your best interest. Yeah, sometimes it does. But here's the thing, going back to Courtney, right? There are agents out here that won't even provide writers. They won't talk about writers. I've seen it.
I had one term before. I had to return a premium writer. You know what I'm saying? Like that was expensive as hell, but I got my premium return.
Right.
For a short period of time. But so I mean, there are ways. There's a lot of ways you can use life insurance, but you got to be careful with some of these life insurance agents too.
Yes, because they parade themselves as advisors and they're merely salespeople. And there's no diss.
Damn, he didn't let me finish. He just cut me off though.
I'm sorry, Jimmy. I got triggered. My bad.
I know I triggered you, but I mean, listen, you were going where I'm going though, bro. Because listen, I worked in the insurance business before. I had insurance license, and every time I would go work at a facility, let's just call them a facility. I worked in multiple different agencies. It was never about the customer. That was my same experience as it pertains to a securities license too. It was never about the customer. It was like, yo, what product can we make the most money with? And that's one of the reasons why I let those licenses go. So just be careful when you're dealing with that, and make sure that's the thing about all of this. Even when you hire a professional, you still have to do your homework. You have to study, and you can't avoid that.
All right, Robbie, I didn't know you're an insurance agent.
So
good to know.
Good stuff. I mean, clearly the fact that you're talking about writers and endorsements lets us know that you actually are doing the right thing.
Right.
Writers and endorsements are protective, because writers and endorsements protect the policy owner, or the beneficiary, depends. Anyway, but it's another form of protection. And a lot of insurance agents, insurance products pay a lot of money in commission. And I think a lot of people put their pocket in front of, what's in the best interest of the client. Now we can go through this fiduciary conversation and all this other stuff, but you can actually make a valid decision and that works for the client and actually is less risk averse. And then all of a sudden you're doing what's, you're now still fulfilling your fiduciary duty, but it's really not the best decision, all things considered, for the client. But
Well,
if it,
I have a question, Courtney.
mm-hmm.
Per the law, most life insurance agents are not fiduciaries, correct?
No, unless they are financial
Nope.
advisors, and and even if they are financial advisors, they're not fiduciaries until they have that 66 or 65. So
Now,
Yep.
since we brought up the term, can you explain to everybody what a fiduciary is?
a fiduciary is a person who is required by law to put the interests of the clients in front of their own personal financial interests. That's more or less what a fiduciary is.
Now, the crazy part about that is, how crazy does that sound? That means that the average life insurance agent doesn't have to put their client's interests before their own.
Correct.
That's insane when you think about it, right? That's insane. Like, and I've seen
that's most industries, though. Sadly,
no, but I've seen some folks write some policies, and I'm like, yo, that's not even appropriate for that person. But they got back what we used to call it back. It's like, yo, what's the rip? Like, and that's what your commission is. I got a crazy rip though, and I'm like, yo, but that's not what they need though. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we really doing here? You know, and several companies out there, man, that's what they do. You know what I'm saying? They, you know, no shade to nobody, but you know.
Yeah, we all know who you're talking about.
Buy term and invest. No, man, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know what?
Yeah,
life insurance is personal. Personal finance is personal. Your 401ks are personal. You all have to do what's best for you at the end of the day. And the only way you can do that is by being informed. So listen.
Once I learned that number about how many term policies actually get paid out, I was like, yeah, that's goofy.
I mean, let's face it though. Insurance companies are in business to lose money. They're not in business to be like friends with us. They're in business to lose money.
I'm just saying though, like that percentage was like high 90s though. Like, so you got millions of people with these policies that never get paid out, like at a super high percentage, like 96, 97% of these policies are not getting paid out.
I mean, but that's the formula for insurance across the board, though. So it happens. It happens. It happens.
But I think again, it's kind of like the same thing with car insurance.
Right.
Like you hope that you never have to use it in an accident. I don't know what the percentage is on that. Probably in Philadelphia way higher. That's why our insurance is so expensive.
Yeah, pretty much.
But again, you know, for the most part, you know, most people never have to use their car insurance because of an accident. It just, we know that by looking at insurances, by looking at the way they roll on the stock market and look at that their
but see, the thing about car insurance and the thing about life insurance is that every single person dies. So it's a little bit different, right? Because everybody, you know what I mean? That's the difference. Everybody dies.
Well, right. The thing with the term is that, are you going to die in this time period?
That's this time period, which tells you how well they do the math on those. The actuaries do the math.
Oh, the math is spectacular.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though, right? When we're looking at term, when we're looking at whole life, you have different, let's say, risk exposures or different needs. So if I'm brand new, I'm married, and I got a baby, year one, I'm going to probably want to cover he or she for the next 18 to 20 years.
Yep. No, listen, there's a place for it. Absolutely.
No, I'm not saying that it doesn't need to exist.
I know, but I just wanted to suss this out a little bit more. But what if I'm an empty nester, me and my wife don't have no kids no more, or at least dependent upon us? Then it's a different type of thing we're looking at.
Absolutely.
So it all depends, Joe.
No, there's a need for all of it, right? There's a need for all, but again, this goes back to the overall overarching theme is that it's all about being personal. I saw that term can convert the whole life with it's a conversion rider, right? They have to have a conversion rider.
You need a conversion rider. Yeah.
Some people don't even, but anyway.
Some products don't even have it though. Like, can we talk about that? So there are certain products that, I mean, I think, and each insurance company is known for certain things, and they're actually better at certain things. We'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to shoot shots, but I think again is that you have riders, you have endorsements, you have all these things that you also, there's some that you can use for long-term care. So there's a lot of different things that you can have on these insurance policies when you go to somebody who works with several different companies and not just one company, because different insurance companies offer different things. So those are the things that I think are important. And so I would also talk to, like, we shop around for different prices, like on, I don't know, cars and whatever, like houses. You should also shop around for for ideas and quotes on life insurance. Like you don't just have to go to one person and get one thing because there's everybody has something different.
And really understand what you're buying too. Make sure you ask the question. That's my whole thing with it is like I want people to understand that you have to do some work yourself.
Absolutely.
You gotta understand what it is you're buying.
But as we close out the show, I want to go back to what Jimmy said at the top of the show. Anytime somebody is only pitching one thing or saying for you to only do one thing, run.
Yeah.
There's a lot of quote unquote self-educated financial people online that say you should only buy whole life. Run. Jimmy just said it. There's a time and place for all of this stuff. And it just depends. So listen, y'all, we appreciate you being here every week. Next week, we'll be back 7 p.m. next Sunday. And next week, we're going to talk about our goals, right? So bring your goals. And also,
bring y'all goals.
Bring y'all goals. And also, keep putting what podcasts y'all are listening to in the comment section and the group. Matter of fact, I'll ask that question in the group as well. So again, see y'all next week, next Sunday, 7 p.m. and have a great and prosperous week ahead. Later, y'all.
Peace and Black power.